right, ladies and gentlemen, with 1 day to the polls, here is the ActionSA Manifesto. Before we get into it, I'm Katlego, welcoming you to Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of the Comrades. ActionSA supports a competitive, market-based economy. Very good. This means that those that perform the best and those that make the best goods at the best price win, capitalism style. And they want us to treat business with respect, and we definitely should do that, as businesses are vital and they're the ones that generate wealth and taxes and ultimately jobs. So I support that. They will have a pro-poor governance, which I think means they will not allow the evil capitalists get away with doing evil against the poor. It's vague, and to be honest, the ANC can also say it's pro-poor, which we know they're not. The ANC is pro-poor in the sense that they want you to be poor. I don't like this social justice heading. I don't want any social justice logic. I want real solutions without telling me about the past. Fix the present and the future will be right. You cannot fix the past. You can't. They want the education system to teach critical thinking and entrepreneurial skills. That is very important. ActionSA wants to build an efficient and citizen-oriented public service, and they want to make sure that our government employees are professional, not political. We can't have politics ruling the home affairs. We don't want to see anything to do with the ANC or DA or ActionSA or EFF in the home affairs. We want service delivery. Don't play politics with our money. Politics should be done in Parliament, and once you're the president and once you're ministers, it's time to deliver and work to get the job done for the citizens. So good one, ActionSA. ActionSA wants to do what a well-functioning country does. They want to expand the economy. They want to make sure that whatever stops or slows down economic growth is removed. And that is a good start. They say exactly what we need to hear. We need to maintain critical infrastructure like electricity, railways, roads, and so on. They also wish to reduce bureaucratic barriers. That means politicians and government causing delays and stoppages of progress. Those rules and laws must be done away with. We must save the country from such. Instead of focusing on nonsensical, non-productive, and non-efficient policies of BEE or the so-called preferential treatment, ActionSA wants hiring and contracting to be based on good performance and good service delivery. And that is good. ActionSA also wants to make sure that they upgrade the roads and railway networks. Upgrade. Well, as I always say, fix first. So I'm kind of sure that that is the main objective, fix and then upgrade. They want to make sure that the rural areas are getting internet coverage, and that is excellent. The rural areas definitely need to be included in the South Africa that some of us are enjoying. The roads, the internet, libraries, etc. need to be available to all South Africans. ActionSA wants to do projects that create value, projects that have an impact on job creation. For example, they want to improve the rail networks. Such a project will allow for movement of goods, which is a value creation and also a job creation project. Not projects like what we have been seeing with the ANC, which just goes and builds a park in an area where no one even goes to sit. I've seen parks that are not used and yet they contain gym equipment, and you wonder what the problem with the ANC and their thinking is. So good stuff, ActionSA. Projects like those will certainly be appreciated. They want to improve and upgrade the seaports. Why? Because trade will improve. We don't want a scenario like the one where the ships were stuck, unable to offload the incoming goods because the ANC and the Guptas have looted everything. For small businesses, ActionSA promises to support innovators. They want to make sure there is more policing in areas where informal businesses operate to make the environment safer. They wish to take back all hijacked buildings to allow for small businesses to rent those to conduct their businesses. Good one. ActionSA also wants to make it easy for businesses to hire and fire employees. We can't have unions jeopardizing the businesses of innocent taxpayers or tax-paying citizens with unreasonable demands. If you are a problem employee, lazy, and just can't do your job, honestly, you will be fired in order to make way for an honest, hardworking South African that wants to do the work. That I definitely support. We all see the lazy people, don't we? What's your take on the ActionSA Manifesto so far? Would you vote for these policies? Let us know in the comment section below, please. ActionSA wants to make sure they leave small businesses alone for the first 2 years of operations so that the businesses are not burdened by too much paperwork and regulations with regards to reporting. I like that. Let the small guy learn to walk before you start with the obligations, right? They also want to change the minimum wage laws. The minimum wage will still be there, except it will now be based on poverty lines and years of experience. Okay, I don't know how this works. Personally, I would do away with minimum wage so that small companies that are poor can employ people they can afford. Some South Africans are willing to work for less than the minimum wage, but businesses cannot hire them at those rates due to the laws. So both the unemployed person and the business owner miss out on a deal they would have both happily gotten into if the laws didn't block them. Minimum wage is the reason why some companies have a habit of employing foreigners because they may be exploited. So I would do away with it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, please. ActionSA says it will deal with unions to make sure they don't become a threat to our economy. That is great. Unions need to be dealt with ASAP. ActionSA will change laws that are keeping foreign investments from reaching our land. Great. The BEE laws are such an example. They also want to make sure that our youth get access to the skills and resources needed to compete on a global scale. Excellent. ActionSA wants to support our local manufacturing industries. Another great policy. The ANC only talks about it. We need someone who can actually do it. They also want to improve trade with the African region we find ourselves in so that the entire region can improve and prosper instead of Zimbabweans and Congolese always trying to come into South Africa. That's what the EFF could have said, but instead the EFF says we don't want any borders. Let borders not exist at all. ActionSA wants to transfer all unused arable land to farmers. The farmers will be provided with leases, but after proving that they are successful at farming, they'll be allowed to buy the farm. The ANC could have done this too, but they failed. They have all this land and they're not using it. ActionSA wants to allow for young farmers to be taught and mentored so that they may get farming skills, and that is good. They want to improve the networks in rural areas to ensure that trade between these areas and others improve. And that is a great thing, right? We can't have areas with no bridges being left behind or not getting supplies when they are in the same South Africa where other people are living well. The ANC let us down on that one as well. ActionSA also wants to encourage local tourism, and they will do this by making sure those areas in remote areas become accessible. They also want to involve the private sector in certain projects. I won't mind it, as long as they stay away from the most vital state-owned entities. I don't want private companies getting involved in the Eskom business too much. I've spoken about this, and Herman Mashaba has said that he will allow private companies to conduct business in the energy sector, but he will not privatize, so that's good for me. They also want to encourage businesses to enter the cities. Our cities are not CBDs anymore. There are no vital businesses anymore. If you go to Joburg CBD, you'll see that it's not really a CBD. It's just those Middle Eastern shops and Nigerian shops selling counterfeit goods. Why is there no Samsung or Apple store on Bree Street? Why is there no Toyota on GP Street? We need real businesses in our cities, not these ones that are smuggling goods in and laundering money out. ActionSA will focus on removing the laws that chase away businesses. This is a policy that anyone should support, like definitely. They want to restore economic justice to us as Black people who were previously marginalized in the apartheid times. Personally, I hate that kind of language, but that is a topic for another day. ActionSA says they wish to address the inequality within South Africa through equality of opportunity and not through equality of outcomes. I do like that very much. That is how you fix the past, right? But then they go on to say they will create a new legislation to address the legacy of apartheid and the increasing economic inequality. This act is the Inclusive Economic Empowerment Act. So you want to get rid of the BEE so that you can bring about IEE. I say equip, upskill, and educate people to ensure that when the opportunities are presented, they can perform in a way that gives them excellent outcomes. We don't need this inclusion nonsense. We simply need equal opportunity, and the outcomes should be based on our performance. So on that one, no thank you. This is exactly how inequality is created and the cycle of inequality continues. They want to create what they call the Opportunity Fund, which will be spreading the funding to people of color. But what about talented white people that are poor? What are they going to do? Instead of their skills and talents also getting the opportunity, they end up being left behind. South Africa misses out on benefiting from the skills or inventions of the people like that, like from young white chaps around there. What does that create in the hearts of the young white person? Hate and ultimately racism. He will see Black people as bad, and the cycle continues on and on and on. Moving on, instead of saying they will cut taxes, ActionSA says that it will tax companies some more. They will raise 5% taxes on companies, excluding the small and medium companies. I think we need to lower the cost of living and raise the standard of living for our people. One way to lower the cost of living is by lowering taxes. Why? Because if you increase the taxes on businesses, they simply transfer the increase to the consumers of their goods and services, thus increasing the cost of living and lowering the standard of living for the citizens. And after you affect everyone's life through this rise in taxes, you put the money in the Opportunity Fund, but you only want to give that money to people of color. Does that sound like a good policy? It doesn't to me. Let's go to free money. ActionSA also wants to bring South Africans some free money. They want to give out universal basic income. Make money while you chill at home because you're poor. You know that I don't support this policy. So no, give those people jobs to do. There's always something to do in order to get paid. I don't get this infatuation with free money. I think political parties think without promising free money, people won't vote for them. So ActionSA wants to make sure that everyone gets a job, but they also want to increase the amount that people get through social grants. They wish to reduce reliance on it, but they also want to increase it. Okay, if you say you're going to create jobs, then there is no need to make these promises of increasing social grants, right? They want to review the system so that it improves in order to make e-wallet payments and reduce corruption, and that's fine. ActionSA, the main agenda for us, or for me personally, is that you should create jobs so that you can reduce crimes and poverty. That's all. So if you invest in public works, that should sort itself out, don't you think? If you're going to create farming opportunities through the land you said you want to give to unskilled farmers to be mentored by experienced farmers, don't you think that should be the direction you should take on all other issues? ActionSA also wants to make sure that there are consequences to punish those that abuse the SASSA grants recipients and the system itself through corruption. They want to empower marginalized groups. Gender and racial equality. They want to remove racial and gender biases in the workplace by enforcing harsh penalties on companies guilty of racism, sexism, and discriminatory practices. This means nothing to me. Personally, it means nothing to me. We need to be more focused on the bread and butter issues, guys. This is nonsense that distracts us from the real issues. They also want to make sure that the Opportunity Fund is used to train the youth to get skills aligned with economic needs. ActionSA also wants to make sure that the work that requires permanent positions is conducted by government employees. Therefore, they will permanently be employed by the government instead of contracting, aka tender processes. So that is a great policy in my opinion. The EFF claims this idea belongs to them. Wow, fighting for such an idea. That is how things are meant to work, but the ANC has allowed for things to go so crazy that even tiny policies like this seem like they are revolutionary. ActionSA also wants to make sure that they use cities to provide affordable housing. That is perfectly fine by me. They'll provide shelter for homeless people using abandoned or neglected state-owned buildings. Very good. Take those buildings and take care of our people who are homeless. That is the right thing to do, and make sure they are well maintained and the programs are not corrupted. They also promise to end load shedding. Firstly, they will establish a competitive market for electricity by including the private sector into the industry so that the government can compete against private companies. You guys know where I stand with this, right? We need to fix Eskom. Private companies are welcome, but Eskom remains just in case. Our problem is and has been poor maintenance of the things we have. It has been corruption and incompetence. I don't get this private sector talk everywhere. They want to establish microgrids for local consumption of electricity in small towns or areas. But what if the companies that operate those microgrids become predatory in nature? What then? Anyway, they'll appoint competent people within the Eskom management teams, and that is good. They want to end Eskom's monopoly. Why? Why? So that companies can start to take over the industry? In 30 years or so, you'll find that one man or one family will eventually own all the companies in the whole country. There'll be a monopoly again, and by then, there'll be nothing you can do to stop them. A government monopoly over the roads, rails, electricity seems like a safer option for me. Let private companies do their thing in the rest of the economy. When Eskom was established, it was understood that competition was unproductive in that sector, and I am of the same view today. We need a party that can fix South Africa's state-owned entities. Don't tell us about dismantling this and that. They also are promoting transitioning our future into renewable energy generation. You know, the Greta Thunberg stuff? Yes, we should take care of our planet, but let's park the renewable energy talk for now, please. That is the mindset of people who have food on the table. For us, let's fix Eskom first, please. For education, they will implement a single department of education. This will eliminate the one job since it's a waste already, and I like that. That is very good. They seek to remove union influence on the education system. They even say particularly SATU, so good. They wish to allocate more teachers and more resources to attract teachers that are highly skilled. They also want principals to meet certain minimum requirements and children to be encouraged to adopt moral values. I like that. It has to be done right. ActionSA wants children of South Africa to be able to read and write as well as to have numerical skills. That is very good. ActionSA also wants to make sure that our children or our education system meets global trends, and they want to make sure that the private sector is involved in the betterment of our education system. They also want to make sure that the students that qualify for tertiary entry are not left behind. But that's where scholarships and bursaries come in. Why are we not directing our high school pupils to qualify and apply for those? We can't fund everything. This is money that is not free. We'll end up with political science graduates and Marxists and communists if we are not careful here. If you don't qualify into the sciences and the engineering fields and the accounting and medicine and all that type of thing, then maybe you should go into artisanal fields, be a plumber, a boiler maker, an electrician or something. We have a lot of graduates who have degrees being employed to be fuel attendants or laborers in companies where plumbers from Zimbabwe or Mozambique are the bosses in some cases. Let's not waste time and resources on useless qualifications, please. ActionSA also wants to increase the number of tertiary institutions, and that is good. They will also provide student housing using the abandoned buildings and the hijacked buildings. That is what I want to hear. Good news. ActionSA acknowledges that success does not come from going to university alone, and that is something that we really need to let all children know. Recruitment and vetting in the police service to appoint competent and committed individuals is what ActionSA promises. We definitely want that. ActionSA wants police to have a certain fitness level, and they must maintain that fitness. Good. You must be able to chase the criminals, right? Improve training for the police to increase the discipline and respect for the uniform. Very good. Patriotism is essential in those roles. They want to increase the presence of police in vulnerable communities, which is great. We can't have areas being known for being crime hotspots only for us to see that there are no police officers in those areas. No, we cannot. To prevent crimes, the ActionSA wants to increase the penalties of crimes associated with violence. Those guilty of multiple rape and murder charges lose the possibility of parole. If a criminal has been sentenced to life in prison, then the criminal should also remain in prison. The right to vote will also be stripped from violent criminals serving life sentences. Should you even be allowed to vote when you're in jail? Voting should be for law-abiding citizens. That's what I think. What do you guys think? ActionSA says you should have a right to self-defense when criminals approach you with a firearm. What if they're approaching with a knife or a screwdriver? Should I not have the right to use lethal force with my firearm then? If I'm in danger of being killed or hurt, I should be allowed, right? ActionSA wants you to be able to get a gun with a bit of ease if you are a law-abiding citizen in order to make sure that you are able to defend yourself, which is very good. ActionSA wants prisoners to be made to work so that they can learn skills to use when they leave the prisons. ActionSA will also increase the budget for the NPA so that it can prosecute people like the couch president or Zuma the criminal, and I think that is a very good thing. ActionSA wants to speed up court cases by building more courts. That can be very, very good. This section here is my favorite. ActionSA wants to declare grand corruption as a crime against humanity. I like the sound of that. They believe that corruption that destroys state institutions and the social fabric of a nation should be condemned to the highest degree. They will expand the definition of corruption to include abuse of political power for personal gain or political gain, price gouging in public procurement, and gross negligence in exercising government authority. These should be crimes already, but I'm sure they are not being taken as important by the NPA. They simply take back what has been stolen while they fail to take the thieves as well. ActionSA will focus on prevention of corruption as well, educating people to preserve a culture of ethics and integrity, which is good. They'll provide immediate protection to all whistleblowers, and that is very, very important. We can't have people being murdered when these politicians are busy stealing everything that we work hard for. ActionSA will make sure there is better surveillance on South Africa's borders, and they will work with the border management, the army, and the police in order to make sure the borders are patrolled and monitored. ActionSA wants to make sure immigration is done legally, not this border jumping that occurs right now, and that is good. Basically, they want to also allow people with critical skills to gain access as long as they have the skills that South Africa needs and as long as they enter legally. They also talk about wastewater management as well as the good management of water to conserve it. That is good, right? It's very good, but that is not important to me right now. But it's good that they are addressing it. They want to protect wildlife too, which is good, but not important right now. You know, the same as environmental pollution. I like clean environments. I like the conservation of water and things and the protection of our wildlife, but I don't have my Greta Thunberg mindset right now. Too much is at stake right now for us to be focusing on those other things. Let's focus on what is essential right now. Natural disaster management is also very important, and they plan to make sure that they build resilient housing in rural areas, and that is very good. There are more issues to address than that, but this is a very good start. It's a very, very good start because, you know, what's been happening in terms of natural disasters in certain areas has been terrible. I like this section too. Here, ActionSA wants to make sure that we focus on unity and team effort. They'll do this through education, activities in schools and in communities. That might be a very good initiative. The division that was born by Zuma the corrupt and his minions such as Julius Malema and Andile Ngxitama is really hurting our country, and we need to heal this. They also address a subject that I hold dear to my heart, the issue of making sure that families stay together and creating the mindset that fathers should remain in families. It is very important. Without good role models in South Africa, we will struggle to deal with many of the issues that hurt us as a nation. So this is excellent. ActionSA also opposes the NHI bill, and that is very good. They'll remove the NHI bill and focus on fixing the clinics and hospitals owned by our government. Very, very good logic. That is how we should be thinking, South Africa. Medical aid schemes don't need your help. We know there is a price gouging, but that is because there is poor performance in the public sector. The more people leave the public hospitals to go to the medical aid schemes, the more the prices of those services increase. So focus on fixing the public health care, and the price gouging ends when the customers start to return to public hospitals. Simple. Just focus on your job, leave the private sector alone. They want to improve local governments and make sure that service delivery needs of the residents are met first, and that is very good. Politics to the bin. Just get the job done. Officials and departments that do not perform will be held accountable. How? I wonder, but that's a good policy. They will decentralize service delivery. They wish to make sure that those provinces and municipalities are competent. As I've said before, we cannot wait for the national government to deliver services or to make decisions that may be 100 kilometers away, So yeah, I like that. ActionSA will reduce the number of ministers, and that is very, very good. The couch president has proven how incompetent he is with a bloated cabinet, and we all see him, right? So we need to make sure that we have less ministers, and that's what ActionSA wants. Overpaid ministers and officials who are not even responsible for the carrying out of the work are the last thing we need. Ministerial jobs have become ways to reward each other in the ANC instead of ways to actually get the job done. So good one, ActionSA. The ActionSA Manifesto seems like a good manifesto to me. they are definitely a good option. Again, stay away from Konto corruption, stay away from ANC, stay away from the EFF. Those are the worst. What do you think of ActionSA? What do you think of their manifesto? Does it motivate you to vote for them? They have a lot of important policies that we need in our nation, and theirs is one of the best. And so, in my opinion, they are worth the vote. Few hours until voting stations open. Have you decided who you are voting for? Let us know in the comment section below. I'm Katlego, this is Citizen Concerned, and until next time, beware of the comrades.